everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I figured we'd start doing the MST build, the MST J45C. Earlier, a couple weeks ago, I did the box opening video on it and figured I wasn't sure if I was going to do a build video on it or not, but I think I will, especially some of the main parts. I haven't done a build video since the Gatekeeper, which is probably like a year and a half ago now. So it's winter time here. I can't get out to do any running time, so to get some content up, I figured I would start getting at her again and do this MST build. So today we're just going to do a quick build on the first couple steps, which is the transmission. This is a pretty interesting double slipper clutch transmission. So I thought we would do this build. I probably won't talk through the whole thing and speed things up as we go through this build, but I just thought we should get some content up and do this build. So stay tuned. I'll get everything out of the pouches here. We got the booklet beside me. I also have it on the computer in front of me. All the steps. This step has 1, 2, 3 bags. This is all the transmission parts. These are not have the transfer case, but it is part of this build, the tranny and the transfer case together. So we'll get into this. We'll get everything out of the bags. The booklet is pretty good. It does for this part here. I've got the DJI Pocket over top of the workbench for this build. I think that's how I did my last build too. Seemed to work out pretty good. I used a GoPro on the last one. This one we're going to use the DJI, which is a little bit better of a camera. So for parts 1, 2, and 3, it lists all the parts here and its actual size. So that's kind of handy because there is quite a few parts there. We got lots of different types of spacers. There's some slipper spacers, some regular spacers. There's E-clips. There's a lot of parts to this tranny. So I've got the booklet in front of me. It gives good step-by-step instruction, and it does list each part. Like it tells you gear A, 14 tooth. If you go back up to here, it marks it gear A, 14 tooth on there. It's how, probably you guys didn't see, but it gives a good illustration. And I've got all my tools together. So we've got the Ryobi electric screwdriver. I've got a MIP 2.0 hex in there. You also need the 2.5. So I've got the 2.5 and the 1.5, which is all listed in the tools required. You do get a tool bag with the kit. I'll just grab that. So in there, it does have all the tools that you need. It's got even a box tool for nuts and bolts. Well, for nuts, I guess. It's got Allen keys. In there is also mineral oil, number 10 mineral oil, and a small container of black grease. I'm not going to be using that grease. And the pinion is actually in there too. I'm not sure what tooth that is. I haven't taken it out to have a look. I think it's a 17. It does have different pinion options for this rig. In the booklet, it shows you a bunch of different ones. And when we get to that, I'll show you that. But yeah, so I'm not going to be using any of these. I got my own tools. I've got the hand size 2.0, 2.5, and 1.5. And then, of course, I've got the electric. And I'll be using the trusted Utter Butter waterproof grease for this build, not the black one that they provide. It's a pretty small container, too. And I like to put a good amount of grease in with my metal gears and stuff. So I'll get everything set up to do this first part. And like I said, I'll probably... The last time I did a build video, I did a bit of a fast forwarding through the building of it so that the video isn't too long, but I'm not too sure how I'm going to do this one. Maybe I'll do that, or I'll talk a little bit or come back in when there's some important pieces. But anyways, I'm going to get all these pieces and parts out of the bags, at least what I need for the first step here. Step 1 is the main tranny casing, so not too many parts needed for that. But they're probably scattered because bearings are in here, gears are in here, screws are in here, slipper clutches are in there, the slipper pads are in there. So we'll get everything out and get started on this, and we'll do a build together. I'll be right back. Okay, so we got the parts out. Not all of them. I left some of these smaller pieces in the bag. I had to take all the bearings and all the spacers and stuff out because I need them for this first piece of the build. But yeah, so we got most of the pieces out. Tools are off. It's great to have this RCAWD work pad because it is magnetic, so all these smaller pieces, especially these little tiny, I don't know if you guys can see that, but right there, these are really, really thin spacers and tiny as old hell. And I have carpet in this room, so it's nice to have the magnet mat to work on so that I don't lose those. So we're going to get started on this portion here. We need, for part one, we need this piece here, which is one of the main gears, 42 tooth in there. So we need that piece. We definitely need that piece, and I'm going to need probably my my measuring tool to make sure I get the right size of pin shafts. Like there's a few different sizes here, well, two, and I want to make sure I'm using the right one. So I do have my handy dandy measuring tool just so I get the right ones. And we need the shaft, and I am going to need this gear here, which is gear A. This is a 14 tooth also, and we need one pin at 9.8 shaft, and I think that's probably the smaller one. There's quite a bit of pieces to this transmission build. I did notice that there is the transfer case right here. Case. That's all that is. It's just the case. No gears in it yet. But that was in the plastic part bag. So that was in there. I just wanted to measure this. I need, what did I need? I needed 9.8. I would assume it's this one. Yep, that's the 9.8. So just gather all the parts. Like I said, I may not talk through this all, but I figure we'll do this build together. We need a 10 by 15 by 4 bearing, which I believe is the bigger one. Yes, it is. Nice thing about the instruction manual, it's got the actual size, so we need that bearing. And we need grease. And I think that's all the parts that I need. I need 1, 2, 3, no spacers, and just the grease. So, very simple. We put this in, and we'll start assembling. We will start assembling. Been a while since I did a build video, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. And then the bearing slips over top to keep that in. Well, that's a pretty tight fit bearing. There we go. Okay, so that's in there. And then we need this piece also, which this one fits into here, I believe, this way. So we need that to the bottom, that to the top. Yeah, this is quite an interesting transmission setup here in this MST. I'm really interested to see how this thing performs when we get her done. And then this goes down into the middle there, like so. So obviously that's a pretty simple build piece there. Right, that just slips into there. We are going to start to put some grease in there, just on these gears, because it's kind of like a differential setup in some aspects. So we're just going to put a little coat of RCAWD Utter Butter on here, just around this gear. Use the tip of it. I do like the syringe to get into these places. I do have a bottle of this. This is the older version of it, but it lasts a long time, so you don't really, depending on how many builds you do, I guess, but I haven't had to get any new stuff yet, and the newer stuff I think is brown. This is a green. So we got that in there. I'm just going to grab a cloth. Should have had that ready, I guess. Piece of shop towel here. And we'll get going on this build. So hopefully you guys enjoy this build. These aren't the most popular rigs out there, but I liked the look of it when I saw it, so I ordered one almost 2 years ago, and it's been sitting since. I got a little bit in the bearing there, which isn't going to hurt it any. Okay, so I got some grease on there. Put a little bit of grease on this gear here, which be careful with because it's got the pin in there, and the bearing is what holds that pin in place because it sits over top of it. So just put a little bit on there. Just a little bit. We'll drop that back in there. Okay, so that's step one basically right there. So there's kind of what it looks like. Sorry, I should have got that in there. So that spins nice freely on that bearing. Right in there. So that's the interior of the transmission, part of the interior of the transmission. The next step has some pretty interesting pieces too. Okay, so we'll get to the next piece. I'm sure you guys just heard my phone go off. That means there's a stream coming up in the next 30 minutes that I normally watch. So okay, so step two, we need this piece here, which is another gear. This is a 24 tooth gear. So that's that gear. Sorry if my hands get out of the camera there because I'm over here and the camera's kind of there, but it's focusing in nice actually. So that's good. That's why I like trying to use this DJI, because it is going to focus in on stuff when I bring it close to the camera. So we need that piece. We need these four. And we need a bearing, which is a 4x10 bearing, which is probably this one. Let's have a look here. Flip that over. And we need a 4x10. Yep, that's the bearing we need. I do like that reference there. And that bearing goes right into here, right down the middle there. That bearing goes in there. And these are identical on both sides. Yep, and they just slip on these. This is what I mean, it's a very interesting transmission. They slip onto here. Like so. And just sit on there. And because we've already greased inside of here, this is really interesting. It slips into here. So you got to get the gears to mesh. And it slips just like that. That is very, very interesting. I am wondering if I should have put some more grease in there. Well, I think I got enough because those smaller bearing gears in there will run across that interior gear. And I can hear the grease working in there, getting on them. Okay, so there is that piece. So pretty simple. Looks like now I do need the bulkhead plate. Which is still in the package here. I didn't think I would need that quick. I'm moving along here pretty quick on the tranny. It's when we get into these littler pieces that kind of, and there's spacers here, spur gears right here. Shows that it's got the spot for the, I don't know if you guys can see that in there, but it's indented for the slipper pads because this is a slipper cut system. So we'll get this plate out, and it says I need a bearing holder, and I don't know if that is it there. Bearing holder. All right, let's flip her back over. I think that's what that is. Yeah, bearing holder. I don't see anything else that looks like that. So it's like a cap. So, oh, I know what that is. I think, well, I don't know what that is. All right, well, I don't know why it's called a bearing holder, so a bearing must fit on that end. Probably goes in here. Yeah, that's probably exactly what it is. The bearing goes in here, coming out the back end of the tranny to the transfer case. That's probably exactly what it is. And this just, well, no, that is not what the piece that I need. All right, I got the wrong piece. This is the motor plate. This is the, yeah, see, been a while since I did one of these. Okay, so we've got tranny put together. I know I didn't show all of it, but I just wanted to show where we're at. We've got the main part, the main gears of the tranny are in. We're nice and smoothly running. And the next part is doing the, I believe, the transfer case, which is the cases here. I haven't moved forward in the booklet yet, but yeah, so that wasn't too bad. I like how smooth that is. It is a different setup in there for sure, this double slipper clutch setup. So we'll move on to the transfer case, and I'll get those pieces out and set up, and we'll get putting that together. I probably should have recorded most of this, showing you the insides and that. I started it, and then I'm going to be honest with you, I forgot to hit record, and yeah, kept going, and I thought I was recording. So anyways, that's where we're at. So hopefully we'll not forget to hit the record button next time, and then we'll go from there. All right, let me get the pieces set up and we'll get back at it. Okay, we're all set to get the next part of the tranny put together, and it is installing the slipper clutch. So you're going to need the spur gear right here. It is plastic. I don't think it's Delaron. It is plastic. You need your 2 slipper pads, which are going to go on into that groove right there, like so. So that little groove in there holds your slipper pads, and the same on the back side. So it is a dual slipper pad. And then I need this bushing. They call it a bearing, but it is a bushing, and it goes right in the middle. Sits in there in the center, like so. Okay, so you got your slippers on there, and you need this part of the tranny. We need a spacer here, which I have right here. It's a really small spacer. It's a 0.3 millimeter spacer, 5x7, so it's right there. You need 2 screws, motor plate, and these are metal slipper clutch plates. So we start installing by putting the first plate on, and of course this has a grooved two flat surface sides on this shaft that the slipper will slip onto. Okay, so we put one in, and it's very simple. Then you put your spur gear in, and we will get that slipper back on there. Put that slipper back in there like so. Okay, goes in there like that. And then we put the next metal piece in, and that is metal, by the way. Line it up there. That's part of your slipper pad. So that's the clutch system. Then we need a washer. That's that little itty bitty friggin' 0.3 millimeter washer. Okay, and then we need a 5x10 bearing, 5x10x4 bearing, which goes like so. Okay, and that's that. Very simple. Okay, and then that bearing is going to sit in the motor plate. So the motor plate will go on the transmission. This is the, I believe that's the top of the tranny is right here, because the motor is top mounted. So yes, that's the top of the tranny. This will go out to the transfer case. by a drive shaft, no doubt. So then we put that in there, make sure that bearing gets in the center, like so. So there we go, that bearing sits in there nice. Okay. And then from the back side, these go in here. So that's kind of different. And they are threaded in that metal plate. So that's definitely the motor plate. Pinion will come here. There is a pinion cover, which is right here. So that'll screw into the motor plate. When you get your motor on, it'll slip down like that, cover your pinion. So that's kind of nice. And they've tagged it with MST right on here. So attention to detail there. But I still don't know what these two plastic washers are for. Just let me take a look at the instruction manual here, just to make sure. Yeah, I have no idea what those plastic spacers are for. Hopefully I didn't miss them on something, but they're just plastic. Okay, anyways, so let's get these in. I'm going to do this by hand because they don't have a long way to go. And it's a 2mm, I would assume. And it's actually 2.5. So we'll just tighten this down into that plate. And it doesn't take much. And just snug it. Just seeing it come through the edge there. Same on this side. And our tranny is pretty much complete. I have not decided what motor I'm putting in here yet, so it does say I need to attach, I think this is a motor support. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but it goes like so. Oh, that's probably how we mount it. Mounts to the, yeah, that's really strange. All right, well, let's put we need a slipper spacer, which is, I'm not 100% sure. I believe it's this one that's angled. And the angle goes, so it's got a bit of a, it's not a completely flat, sorry, it's not a completely flat, you guys probably can't see that, but it is not completely flat. It has an angle to it going this way to the center. And I've seen this before on other slipper clutches on what's the word, nitro buggies that I used to run. So, and it's because there's a bearing there, so the whole surface doesn't sit on the bearing. So that goes over top. Yeah, that's exactly what it's for. Okay. Then you put on your spring for your slipper clutch. This tightens and gives you, I don't know, more space, I guess. Then that washer goes on, and then your nut goes on. And we're just gonna get that in there and try to tighten it down the best we can. I should have, what you should do with these, I think that's probably a 7mm nut. Yes, it is. So what you should do with these, I should have mentioned that, is give this spring a compression. Just one compression with a pair of pliers, just once. They are really tight, so you just give it a bit of a compression, just once, kind of break it in a bit. Then you can put it back on, put your washer back on, and then your nut goes on. And it's a lot easier to tighten your slipper down when you've got a motor mounted, but I am trying to tighten it because it is a slipper clutch. Those slippers are slipping because there's no weight on them, so I'm not actually tightening it. So what you have to do is you have to get something to go through that pin there on the out shaft so it doesn't spin. And then you can tighten that slipper down. And we're not going to go all the way down. That can cause some problems. So we're going to compress her pretty good. So we're about 3/4 compressed. So there we go. That is our tranny. All ready to go for a motor. Besides this, which is going to go here. Nope, it goes this way. And it'll sit on there like so. And for that we need 3x10s, which are these bad boys here. These should be 3x10s. Just let me measure that. Yeah, that's a 3x10. Okay. Like I said, I don't have motor picked out for this just yet, so we're just gonna, because right now the instructions tell me to put the motor on. I'm losing my mind here. And we're just gonna put these together. And I don't like, you could use some, because it is going in the metal here, we could use some Loctite, but because it's on plastic also, Loctite will eat that up and make it brittle, so I'm not going to use any Loctite on here. I'll just snug them in there, make sure that they don't go anywhere, and after a run or two we'll just may have to go back in there and tighten them down again. I just don't want to get any plastic getting brittle. So the tranny went together pretty darn easy, and the next will be the transfer case, which will probably be just as easy. So there we go, tranny done. I will reload, reset, and we will do the transfer case, and I think that'll be probably long enough for this video for build part 1. I got all the time in the world to put this sucker together, but I just thought we'd get started and we'd do it together. So I'm going to get set up for the, I hope these are in that setup. Those little plastic washers, I have no idea. Anyways, if I have to go back and take something apart, I'll be pissed. I'll get set up with what I need here, and we'll get back to it in a second. All right, I'm not sure why my camera keeps flipping the view here, but it's pissing me off. But anyways, it may look a little backwards to you. I apologize for that. I'm not sure why my camera is doing that, but I have no idea why it's doing that to me. But anyways, so we're going to put together the transfer case. So we've got the 2 sets of gears that we have to put together, pretty simple, and we'll get right into that. So for this one, it actually has a screw that goes in there that I may have to get some little bit of thread lock on that. So pretty simple though. So we've got a pin, and it will go through this side where the screw is going to go in, and the gear goes on. Then a bearing goes on, and then one of these really small spacers goes on that end where the screw is going to go. So before I do that, I'm just going to grab my, I don't know why that camera has flipped the recording upside down on me, but I got to figure that out. Maybe it's because I got my camera at a weird angle above me. I didn't notice if it did that on the last clip or not. But anyways, let's get this set up here. So we got the screw. We're just going to put a little bit of thread lock on there because it is going into metal. Then we're going to put the washer on the screw, and it's a very small washer. And it goes in the end of that rod, which is really weird for me to see that in a transfer case, but hey, who am I? Get that out of the way, and then that is on, and then we just got a bearing that goes on this side, like so. So that one is put together. This one's got a couple of E-clips that we got to get on, that goddamn fucking camera. I don't know. Oh, I swore. Not that I'm monetized, but that kind of pisses me off. Why that camera is doing that. I don't know if it. I don't think it did it in the other clips. Okay, get these E-clips in, like so. Don't lose that one. And another E-clip. I really hate E-clips. They're so easy to lose and so easy to bend if you don't have the right tool. And I don't have exactly the tool needed, an E-clip wrench, but my shock building pliers work fine to get it started, and then I just finish it off by hand like so. Okay, so we've got, hopefully I did that right. Nope, sure didn't. I got to take one of those off. Yep, I sure do, because we got a gear that goes over top of it. I hate when I do stuff like that. Oh, we lost that bearing on there. And these two screws here are left over from the, and I'm not 100% sure what these ones are for. These two screws were left over. They're the motor mount screws. So I need to get that E-clip off, which really sucks. So I need a pair of better pliers. And hopefully I don't lose that E-clip. Hopefully my head's not getting in the shot, guys. E-clips are a real bugger to pull out. But what I might use is, can I get it under there? Of course not. Yeah, I should have looked at that a little bit harder. But if I can pop that E-clip off without losing it. They are a bugger to get off E-clips. And my luck, I'll lose it. Because the gear has to go in the middle. This gear goes in that middle, and I buggered that up. Okay, let me get this E-clip off. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. We got that E-clip in. I just put it back in, put that pin in, and then that gear goes right over top of that. So that's pretty much it for that gear. And then it's just two bearings. One bearing there, and one bearing there. So we got our two transfer case pieces. We'll open up the case and we will put her together. So we've got the big one down here. We'll get that. Let's get the bearing put in there. I prefer doing it that way. So we'll get the bearings put into there. And I have to figure out which end of this small one with the screw. It looks like it goes, yeah, I don't know. They both have holes on them. So this one, remember, we have that screw in there. And I want to make sure that I get it. I believe it's, yeah, it has to go that way because of the gears. So I just want to get some grease on these gears, at least one of them. We'll get it in there, and then I think we'll button up this video and figure out why my camera is being such a bugger. And flipping every time I hit record. I don't get it. I don't think it did it at the start, but all of a sudden it's doing it. Okay, so we got a bearing in that hole. This one takes the bearing with the screw. See, now you can see, whoops, now you can see that screw there, right? It's kind of weird how that is. So we'll get that gear back in there. We got grease on there, okay? And I don't see any spacers or anything for these two things. I do not know what those are for, but I better hold on to them. And then it's just a matter of getting the bearings in these cups. And there's our transfer case. Just like so. But I don't like how I want these output shafts to kind of be identical. There we go. So they are. Yeah, I'm just losing my mind here. All right, so there we go. We have got that done. Now we just need to screw her together. And I guess it doesn't matter what side we put the screws on. And that's these ones here. And I've got 4 extra screws and 2 extra spacers. Plastic spacers. Not sure what they're for, but I'm sure they're probably somewhere else down the line here. I need the 2. And I'll do this by hand because there ain't much screw in there. Well, maybe I'll do it by hand drill here. That's about it, guys. I think we've got a transfer case and a tranny at the point that we're done. Now it's just a matter of going on to the next step, but I don't want to make each video too long. Usually I talk for a bit at the start, then I do the building and don't say much, and then I fast forward it, and then I talk at the end. But this one I'll do a little different. I don't know how much time I got, and why my camera is being a bastard. It could be because of the way I've got it situated above me, but it's trying to read that it's upside down. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyways, so there's the first part of the build for the MST. We got a transfer case, and we got a transmission, and we have some screws left over. And the next part, I believe, is we start. Boy, yeah, that's pretty good, pretty smooth. Is we start doing the grabbing the rails and start putting the supports in the rails and dropping the tranny in. I imagine that's our mount right there. I don't know. This is my first MST, so I'm not sure. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Keep an eye open for video 2, which will be the next steps, or the step after, or I don't know how many videos I'm going to do, but thought I'd just do a few of this build, just do a walkthrough of this build. And thanks for those that are watching and stayed to the end. I think I bored you enough. So we'll end the video here, and we'll see everybody at the next one. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, give me a like, and leave me a comment. If you've done one of these builds and how it went, do you know what these 2 plastic washers are for? I know what these 2 screws are. Not sure what those are. They could be just mounting for these transmissions and stuff. I don't know. I'm going to go back and have a look just in case. But anyways, thanks for watching, and everybody stay safe, and we'll see you at the next one.